is empowering. Wealth can uplift communities from poverty, okay? A white man gets wealthy, he builds Walmarts and makes other white people have some motherfucking money. A brother gets rich, he buys some motherfucking jewelry, okay? Do you know what the fuck I'm talking about? I ain't talking about rich, I'm talking about wealth. Wealth is passed down from generation to generation. You can't get rid of wealth. Rich is some shit you can lose in a crazy summer in a drug habit. Look, Rick James was rich. 1 minute you're singing Super Freak, the next minute you're doing Old Navy commercial. Give it to me, baby. Give me corduroy. Not talking about rich, I'm talking about wealth.
President Bush, how did this come about?
Well, Larry, the first thing I heard of it was when somebody from the White House called. It might have been the Chief of Staff, and asked if I would be willing to participate in a fundraising effort to help the people over there and the victims of the tsunami. And of course I said yes, and they said, well, President Clinton would be side by side with this, and that made it all the more attractive for me, and I think for the country, and I think for the relief effort itself. So it just evolved, and so today President Clinton and I met with the President in Washington, and we got our marching orders, and you might say in a sense, and then we've gone out and began talking about what we think we can do in encouraging others to give, private sector giving.
President Clinton, how were you asked?
Oh, about the same way. I was talking to Andy Card, and then Condi Rice called me. We just talked about it, and we were talking about the kinds of things that had been done in disasters in America, and then the kinds of things we tried to do for disasters when I was president in Central America and other places, and how the private sector is always very generous, but it always needs a little better organization, a little better direction. And the overwhelming response to this tsunami, I think partly because of the magnitude of the disaster, and frankly partly because of the terrific way that the American press has covered it, and the press throughout the world, made this kind of organized effort make more sense to the President and the White House. They asked us to help. I was glad to do it.
President Bush, it's cash over items, right? If you're going to give...
Right now it is. Larry, right now that's true. President Clinton and I accompanied the President when he went to pay his respects. We all did, signing the books at the various four embassies of the countries that were affected. And all of them made clear that the best thing you can do is to send money at this time as opposed to goods, because there's no delivery problem. Sometimes the goods can be acquired in a neighborhood nearby, or sometimes the goods that might be sent from here might not be exactly what's needed. The medicine might be different. So we've concluded that the best thing to do is, as President Clinton said a minute ago, to give to these organizations, or send it into usafreedom.gov and freedomcorps.gov and let them help distribute it. But the main thing is, it's better at this juncture to send cash, and I think they all agree with that, the embassies.
We want to keep our trial by jury system. We want to keep our right to keep and bear arms. We want a system where we have a Supreme Court and not have a tribunal that will be superior to the Supreme Court.
In 2005, Cintra, a Spanish-owned company, signed a secret agreement with the Texas Department of Transportation to erect toll roads on existing roads and to toll new roads that were completely paid for by tax dollars.
There are people, believe it or not, in Texas who don't know what the Trans-Texas Corridor is. TTC 69, which they'll have the environmental hearing starting this spring on, runs through my part of the state. And there are people over there who have no idea what's fixing to come in their backyard.
TxDOT, an unelected state agency, claimed that the agreement with the foreign company was even secret from the Texas legislature. When the truth came out, newspapers across the state called for heads to roll politically. Centra's response was to have its Australian subsidiary make its first U.S. newspaper buy. Every newspaper they bought was along branches of the Trans-Texas Corridor and had been critical of the toll road plan. The cost of 40 or 50 newspapers is nothing compared to the profits that'll be made. Just Phase 1 alone of the state toll road plan is estimated to raise more than $200 billion in just the first 15 years. And Texas is only a small part of the global panorama. A combine of transnational companies is aggressively consolidating public finance infrastructure worldwide, and the same interests are erecting a world government according to their rules. A literal wonderland of corporate corruption, where governments simply act as vacuum cleaners, sucking up the wealth and resources of the middle class and transferring it to offshore bank accounts, leaving behind a cultural and economic wasteland of easily managed slaves.
The whole purpose about the North American Free Trade Agreement is not about trade, it's about control. Control of people. Cass is even worse. Control of people. It's not about trade, it's subsidized trade with taxpayers' funds.
This thing started here. And to save this country, we kill this damn thing here.
To stop here in Texas, we stop the new world order right here in Texas.
Polls consistently show that over 90% of the people are against the NAFTA highway systems and its toll roads. As the people learned of the threat, they got angry and took action.
Our ranch is part of the original Spanish land grant, and I would love to not have to give it back to Spain.
Opponents of a proposed superhighway today held a major protest.
A majority of Texas counties have voted to resist the plan for a North American Union and have vowed to block the construction of its infrastructure.
Heck, we already know in a law that was passed by a subservient United States Congress, where practically nobody in the entire Congress stood up and said no, they've already passed a law saying all their driver's licenses are going to be chipped. Well, I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to carry in a driver's license that's got a chip in it so Big Brother can watch everywhere I go and see everything I do. No, no, hell no. No, all of it. No, no. We, the people, own this plot of ground. We, the people, own those trees there. We, the people, own our beautiful Texas, and we are not going to let a bunch of crooks and robber barons take our beautiful Texas away from us. Hell no! Hell no! No, no, no!
RFID tracker chips embedded in state inspection stickers and toll tags are already being used to track the population. The new system is also meant to control growth and steer development through so-called smart growth.
Smart growth, which is nothing more than an effort to bring control into the cities. You have the rewilding of America in the Wildlands Project, the Convention on Biological Diversity, which is to control our rural population.
Toll roads on interstate highways nationwide are walling off exit ramps to small towns and rural communities, and are creating ghost towns by design.